Hallo zusammen. Wir schauen uns jetzt gemeinsam das aktuelle Video von Magic the Gathering an. Werde Teil der Gefährten, der Herr der Ringe, Geschichten aus Mittelerde. Einige Spoiler, einige Infos zum neuen Set, Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. Ich gehe einfach mal rein und an spannenden Stellen halte ich an und gebe meinen Senf dazu. Ansonsten schauen wir uns die 22 Minuten 39 einfach gemeinsam an.
At last, the third age of Middle-earth has come to Magic the Gathering.
Alter, ist schon geil.
Explore this new set and visit places
Da war ich schon. 2013 in Neuseeland.
you recognize, but as you've never seen them before.
Rivendell.
From the Shire, that pleasant corner of the world in which hobbits plied their well-ordered business of living,
Alter, das sieht
to the
schon geil
majesty of
aus.
Gondor, recalling somewhat the might of Numenor ere it fell. You'll travel through paths even the bravest fear to tread.
Das sind die Boxtopper in Staring Bridge und Cavern of Souls. Einer davon wird teuer sein, der andere nicht. Aber krass, dass es Boxtopper gibt, die endlich wieder was können.
Which leads into the depths of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
Auch geile
A
Länder.
dying land, but not yet dead.
Karte von Mittelerde.
With this set, players can become a member of the Fellowship and battle valiantly for the fate of Middle-earth. Or join the Dark Lord Sauron and spread his shadow across the land.
Okay, ich bin gespannt. Boah, geil,
The
ey.
story of the Lord of the Rings is embodied in the free peoples of
Tom
Middle-earth.
Bombadil, natürlich krass, dass der da
Heroism
ist. War
can
nicht in
come
den
from the
Filmen.
most humble beginnings. And beginnings don't get much more humble than being a gardener in the Shire. Like many of the characters in Middle-earth, Samwise Gamgee's
Samwise
journey
Gamgee. Ich hätte ihn, glaube ich, anders geschrieben. Aber Hobbits sind am Start und ihr seht's hier, Food Tokens. Macht mega viel Sinn bei den Hobbits.
leads through moments of crisis. These are captured in the showcase ring treatment cards. These cards delve deep into the narrative of the Lord of the
Kein
Rings by portraying characters in the
Flavortext
course
fällt mir
of
direkt
pivotal
auf.
events in their lives. Here, Samwise stares into the mirror of Galadriel and is confronted with the scouring of the Shire, his home in flames. Sam was not intimidated by what the mirror showed him, and by the conclusion of his quest, he had become not just a humble gardener, but the most famous gardener in history. At least,
Und er
that
steht
was
auf
Frodo's
Kartoffeln.
opinion. His hobbit companions are no less tested by their own trials. Merry and Pippin started like Sam as hobbits of the Shire,
Geil, dass Meriadoc und Peregrin heißen.
and each rose to great positions
Und
in
da Merry
Rohan
und
and
Pippin.
Gondor,
Okay.
but not before being tested by their own moments of uncertainty, portrayed here. Merry is nearly lost in the fray of the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, while Pippin contended with the madness of Denethor, steward of Minas Tirith. In Middle-earth, such moments are not reserved only for those of small stature.
Ey. Ich bin wieder zurück in den Film.
Even lords may be tested, as it was among humans in the Third Age. The people of Gondor and Rohan united in one last attempt to defeat the Dark Lord Sauron.
Ey, wenn man das so sieht, ne? Unten dieses Universe Beyond Symbol, also dieses dreieckige, dieser Stamp. Das sieht halt einfach aus wie ein Secret Lair, oder? Also es könnte exakt wie Street Fighter oder Walking Dead oder Stranger Things ein Secret Lair sein. Aragorn, 4-Color, Boromir, Gandalf weiß, Gimli, Gruel, dann haben wir Boros, Rot, Azorius und Grün. Was mir gerade auffällt, warum ist Boromir nicht Ortsauffarben schwarz-weiß? Also das ist aber ein Problem für mich, finde ich. Naja, und Eomer müsste eigentlich auch eine weiße Farbe beinhalten. Keine Ahnung.
And while some came through their trials triumphant, with great power and royalty revealed in them, for there are few left in Middle-earth like Aragorn, son of Arathorn.
Der König ist wieder da.
Others were taken by madness.
Boromir,
And in that
schwarz-weiß,
crucial
Mann.
moment
Schwarz-weiß.
Though-
Da sehen wir übrigens das erste Mal The Ring Thames. Ich glaube, das kommt noch. Ich warte noch, bis es kommt.
Even then, they may have died well, achieving some good thing. These champions were assisted by representatives from across Middle-earth. Dwarves. Elves. Motivated by memory of the last alliance or loyalty to the Lord of the White Tree.
Cooler Effekt. Dominik Meyer.
And even wizards.
Dominik Meyer hat Legolas gezeichnet. Das Showcase Ring Frame. Und Dominik Meyer ist auch beim Command Fest. Das heißt, wenn ihr den zieht, gleich mal Dominik Meyer unterschreiben lassen. Ja.
Loyalty to the Lord of the White Tree. And even wizards. Subtle and quick to anger, who were troubled about the future
auch Dominik
of
Meyer, Gandalf the White. Geil.
But the free peoples of
Und der ist übrigens krank. Da gibt es einige Videos bei YouTube schon drüber. Netter Commander.
Would not have united as they did if they had not been drawn together to confront the Dark Lord and his armies.
Sauron attempts to set the plot of the Lord of the Rings in motion by crafting the One Ring. Before the plot is actually begun, where Isildur cuts it from Sauron's hand and takes it for his own. He is depicted here, still sporting his missing fingers.
Ach krass.
Sauron also faces his own trial.
Kurz gucken, wie die Karte so ist. Grixis Commander ist der zweite. Es gibt ja noch diesen die Commander-Karte Sauron. Grixis. Ward, Sacrifice Legendary Creature or Legendary Creature. Artifact or Creature. Das ist krass. Whenever an opponent casts a spell in Mass Orcs 1, whenever an army you control deals combat damage to a player, the ring tempts you. Whenever the ring tempts you, you may discard your hand if you do. Also, das ist auch ein mächtiger Commander.
The Dark Lord was not alone in his quest to dominate all of Middle-earth. He was joined by dark creatures.
Gothmog. Olifanten sind rot.
But his most terrible servants by far were the Nazgul.
Yo. Nazgul sind Uncommons, alles klar. Die Ringgeister sind Uncommons. Death Touch, when Nazgul enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you, okay. Whenever the ring tempts you, put a 1/1 counter on each wrath you control and a deck can have up to 9 cards named Nazgul. Okay, du kannst alle 9 Nazgul in deinem Deck haben.
Under the dominion of the
in
One
einem
Ring
Artwork dann?
And became shadows under Sauron's great shadow.
In 9 verschiedenen Artworks kannst du sie haben. Du kannst auch 9-mal das gleiche spielen.
The King of Angmar long ago, sorcerer, ringwraith, Lord of Nazgul, a spear of terror in the hand of Sauron, the Witch King himself.
Okay.
As the War of the Ring unfolds between these two implacable factions, great commanders arise on both sides.
The commanders in this set each come packaged with a deck geared to their particular abilities.
Ah, jetzt kommen die Commander-Decks.
We have Eowyn, Shieldmate, strong and stern as steel, the daughter of kings.
Okay, Human Knights.
With her Riders of Rohan deck, Eowyn strikes quickly and powerfully at the enemy.
Wow.
This deck
Nicht
combines
Eomer,
the
sondern
heroes of
Eowyn ist
Gondor
da.
and Rohan into a force capable of overpowering any opponent with sheer force of numbers. Fourth, Eorlingas. Tolkien says of the hobbits that growing food and eating it occupied most of their time. This is probably unfair to say of Frodo, who, after all, adventured out into the wide world and devoted at least some of his time to destroying the One Ring. Still, it's fitting that the deck he leads is themed around food and fellowship. This deck employs the partner mechanic, using 2 commanders at once, because, as Gandalf says, only a small part is played in great deeds by any single
Mir
hero.
fehlen Flavor Texts.
And so, just as in the books, Frodo and Sam work together to achieve great things. Sam provides food tokens to nourish Frodo, while Frodo's time as ring-bearer grants him the advantage. Galadriel, Elven Queen, leads her Elven Council deck, using a combination of elves and wizards. It was she who first summoned the White Council that drove Sauron out of Mirkwood, and this deck has that same power and more. Commander format relies on diplomacy, which Galadriel, Elven Queen, takes advantage of. Like any good council, this deck relies on the votes of other players. Luckily, whichever way the vote goes, Galadriel benefits. Sauron, Lord of the Rings,
Auch
leads his
Grixis-Farben.
hosts
Zweimal
of Mordor deck
Grixis-Farben.
by bringing his creatures back from the
8
graveyard.
Mana 9/9.
Sauron was, after all, once known as the Necromancer. The hosts of Mordor always claw their way back from defeat. The Dark Lord himself was diminished, but not destroyed by the loss of the One Ring.
Flavortext. Das
And
fällt mir
his
ein bisschen
armies will
negativ
rise
auf,
again.
ich weiß. ich meine, das Set verkauft sich nicht über Stärke, sondern irgendwie schon über Flavor. Dann wäre Flavortext schon ziemlich nice, ehrlich gesagt.
When bringing Middle-earth into Magic the Gathering, the goal was always to make the gameplay fun and evocative of the story of the Lord of the Rings. When it came time to allow people to play as hobbits, it seemed only right that they would incorporate food in some way.
Absolut.
Samwise Gamgee, whose chief treasure is his cooking gear, can create food tokens. Use them to restore life or have Sam's unique talent bring a bit of history back to the here and now. But beware. Hobbits aren't the only creatures in Middle-earth with a love of food. The advantage of Mordor is in its sheer number of servants. A mass is a returning mechanic, but with a Middle-earth twist. The mechanic now allows you to summon and strengthen an army of fearsome orcs. But of course, the most important piece of lore in The Lord of the Rings is the One Ring. This set introduces a completely new mechanic.
The Ring tempts you. Und jetzt werdet ihr gleich sehen, was mein Problem damit ist.
Revolving around the temptations of the One Ring. Numerous cards across all types will say the ring tempts you. The first time each game you feel the call of the ring, you will receive an emblem called the Ring. When the ring tempts you, you select a creature under your control to become ring bearer. For example, if Frodo, adventurous hobbit, is your only creature on the field, he would become your ring bearer. You can never have more than one ring bearer because, after all, only one hand at a time can wield the one ring. Each time the ring tempts you, you may select a new ring bearer if you wish. Also, each time you're tempted, the ring gains its next ability. This continues each time the ring tempts you until the ring has all 4 abilities. The ring gains these abilities even if you have no creatures.
Guckt euch das mal an. Also, erste, your ring bearer is legendary, can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Okay. Zweite, immer wenn der Ringbearer angreift, draw a card and discard a card. Dritte, when your Ringbearer becomes blocked by a creature, the creature's controller sacrifices it. Vierte, whenever your Ringbearer deals combat damage to a player, each opponent loses 3 life. Wo ist das Negative? Warum ist The Ring tempts you, der Ring verführt dich, nichts Negatives? Als 5. Du verlierst das Spiel oder, keine Ahnung, du verlierst 5 Lebenspunkte, nicht dein Gegner.
Just as it persevered in the dark pools of the Gladden Fields, even as it passed out of knowledge and legend. But be cautious. Gandalf warns those who would try to take the One Ring. Its strength is too great for anyone to wield at will, save only those who have already a great power of their own. But for them, it holds an even deadlier peril. Do you have the power to master the One? Or will it master
Bullshit.
You?
Also die erzählen so, als wäre es halt so gefährlich, aber es hat nur Vorteile.
Lord of the Rings is the quintessential fantasy story. It's what we think about when we think of fantasy. It has this mythic dimension to it.
Magic really was inspired in so many ways by The Lord of the Rings. It's the original fantasy. It's the classic.
And it seems a very natural crossover to view The Lord of the Rings and those stories and those characters through this lens.
Den Ring. Das habe ich, glaube ich, schon
that
gesehen.
the property was very safe with Wizards of the Coast.
There were so many things that we imagine when we read the stories that we want to bring to life.
It was an exciting challenge and an exciting opportunity to bring these two properties together. What does it mean to bring the ring, the One Ring, into the Magic universe?
Wild,
we went about designing the One Ring as a mythic rare in the set.
Einmal durchlesen. The One Ring, 4 Mana, Legendary Artifact, Indestructible. When the One Ring ins Spielfeld kommt, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn. Okay. Zu Beginn deines Upkeeps verlierst du einen Lebenspunkt für jede Burden Counter auf dem One Ring. Tappen, put a Burden Counter on the One Ring, draw a card for each Burden Counter you on the One Ring. Okay. Der bestraft dich, je gieriger du wirst.
You're going to open that up in draft boosters and set boosters and collector boosters. What are other ways to capture that connection between Magic and Middle-earth?
Tolkien's words were so important to us. We wanted to carry his spirit in everything we were doing. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
One ring to rule them all.
One ring to find them.
One ring to bring them all.
And in the darkness bind them.
We thought, what if we're so faithful we have one of the One Ring?
Magic came to...
Yo, da ist er. In der dunklen Schrift, 4 Mana, One of One. Es steht einmal hier in der Mitte, One of One. Und hier unten steht auch One of One Ring von Valley Nyström. Alter, das Ding ist 1 Million wert. Ich würde sagen, es geht für 1 Million weg. Alter. Und guckt euch dieses Foiling an. Sogar auf dem Ring ist Foiling. Aber es sieht ein bisschen gekölt aus. Ist der gekölt?
To us with this one of one, the One Ring card. In my head, I was just thinking, yes, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. That's obviously yes.
We took the One Ring and we created a serialized one of one version. This is the only copy of the one of one ring that's ever going to exist.
Ich stelle mir gerade wirklich vor, ich mache den auf. Stellt euch das mal vor, man macht den auf und es ist so wie so ein Lotterieticket, da steht, du hast 1 Million Euro gewonnen. Ich gehe fest davon aus, dass der für so viel weggehen kann. Alter, krass, ich habe gerade ein bisschen Gänsehaut, weil ich mir vorstelle, ich würde den aufmachen. In Magic Boostern einfach enthalten. Ich weiß, viele von euch sagen, der wird nie das Lager verlassen, aber ich glaube an das Gute im Menschen. Wäre nice, wenn ich den aufmache, Mann.
One person is going to open it up out of an English collector booster.
Nur englische, ganz wichtig, ne? Deswegen sind die Deutschen auch im Moment 80 Euro billiger. Krass. The serialized one-of-one ring card is available only in weniger als 0,00003% der Booster. Alter. Das heißt, wenn man sagt, der eine Ring ist 1 Million Euro wert, dann erhöht das den EV von einem Booster um 3 Euro. Gar nicht so viel, wie ich dachte. Da waren die Phyrexian Praetor nummeriert aus March of the Machine teurer.
While it's not mechanically unique, we wanted to make it aesthetically unique. This is the only place you're going to see this version of the art.
An sich wird die Karte nichts wert sein, weil man hat gleich gesehen, sie ist als Promo im Bundle drin.
When the player opens the pack to be worth all of the effort and all of the love that we've poured into it. And it's for a single card.
It makes it all as mysterious and desirable as the One Ring itself.
If you ever see it, you'll know. Is that it? Is this true? Is it there? Is this real?
I know that a lot of people are going to be very excited.
It's like you're making someone become Sauron or Frodo. You are a ring bearer.
Its fate is unknown. The ring will be found when it wants to be found.
Oder böse Stimmen sagen, der Ring wird gefunden, wenn Wizards ihn gefunden werden haben lassen, tun möchte.
We wanted to go and find more connection to the story, more ways to hit on these rings that were created.
3 rings for the elven kings under the sky.
7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone.
9 for mortal men doomed to die.
In Lord of the Rings, this is a powerful artifact that someone can wield. And in the world of
ja,
magic,
es ist halt der eine Ring. Das macht keinen Sinn, dass sie den jetzt irgendwie doppelt nutzen. Aber ich meine, jeder Charakter war auch doppelt.
Magic card, it's the most played card in Commander. It's incredibly powerful. It really offered a fun way to do a collectible version of Soul Rings in a non-foil version. And then also in a serialized double rainbow.
Was mir hier sofort aufgefallen ist, da habe ich schon öfter drüber nachgedacht, die Nummerierten werden auch ultra teuer werden. Mythic Rare Soul Ring 300, 700, 900. Das heißt, es gibt nur 1900 serialisierte. Bei March of the Machine und Brothers War gab es irgendwie 32.000 oder so, also bei Brothers War. Und unten stehen die Wahrscheinlichkeiten. Weniger als 0,1% Dwarven Ring. Weniger als 0,25% Human Ring und weniger als, Elven Ring weniger als 0,01, Dwarven Ring weniger als 0,025 und Human Ring Art weniger als 0,03%. Die hier haben nur Faktor 10. Wenn ihr einen Mythic Rare Soul Ring auf Elbisch zieht, ist das ultra selten, weil hier, ne? Mach mal das Komma ein nach rechts. 0,3%, 0,25%, 0,1%. Die sind auch ultra selten. Die sind seltener als diese ganzen, wahrscheinlich seltener als Hidezugu und Neon Ink.
I know they're gonna be beloved.
I'm excited about
also wenn ihr so einen
seeing
Soul Ring
how
zieht,
fans react to the vision that we brought. Everyone has just poured a lot of passion into this project.
It was just absolutely palpable how much they appreciated these stories. And so we're all excited about the One of One, the One Ring card. But there's also so much in store that fans are going to be excited for. And I'm excited for them to see it.
Okay. Scene Cards, ja, das wollen auch einige sehen.
Emboldened in the pages of this story are moments that remain suspended in time. There are colorful moments filled with laughter and song and a glittering youthful bliss. Memories of a birthday party glow beneath the light of a dazzling display of fireworks, a spectacle of magic orchestrated by a very old friend. Other moments, far more grim, lend burden to memory. Recalling them brings forth an acrid taste of ash and a burning wind against the cheek. Here, amidst the volcanic fires of the mountain, seconds became an eternity as friendship bent to the will of dark power. Here, a wayward horror, corrupted by temptation, fell to his doom. Between these moments of levity and anguish live moments of myth, when the fate of the world was decided in the hellish cauldron of battle. In the fields of Pelennor, Sauron's wicked army collided with the free peoples of Middle-earth. The capital city of Minas Tirith, bathed in the light of the sun, fell under siege by legions of Orcs and Uruk-hai, screeching bats from the dark forest.
Moment. Haben die Uruk-hai, wurden die nicht besiegt in Helms Klamm? Also mein Wissen stammt mehr aus den Filmen als aus den Büchern, aber ich meine, in Minas Tirith gab es keine Uruk-hai, sondern nur Orks. Oder? Aber in die Kommentare mit eurer Antwort.
Mist of Mirkwood littered the skies, and in their wake drifted a pair of monsters maligned and grotesque. Like featherless vultures, they widened their translucent wings to reveal their haunting husks. Leading the aerial assault from atop one of these fell beasts was the Witch King of Angmar. His wretched armor encased a hollow body, and his helmet housed two glaring red eyes. Behind his flowing cape crept the shadow of the enemy emerging from the crackling lightning surrounding Barad-dûr. Rows of jagged peaks emerged before the ominous dark tower, a monolith.
Ich bin wieder voll im Herr der Ringe Fieber.
These two monuments mark the edges of this battlefield and the corners of this 18-panel war painting. The artist Tyler Jacobson used a false perspective to capture the entire setting and concepted the action to read from right to left. This mirrors the direction of attack from Osgiliath in the east upon Gondor to its west. Occupying the landscape along the middle row appear the first named characters involved in the skirmish. The Oliphants of the Haradrim trample upon the rushing riders of Rohan. The resounding horn of the horsemen echoes across the lands, evoking hope in the valiant heroes and fear in those clashing against them. The cavalry is led by Eomer, the third marshal of the Mark. Across from him stands his sister, Eowyn, who betrayed her king's orders to stay home and wait, and chose instead to fight.
Oh, das hat sich gelohnt, wie wir alle
she
wissen.
glares upon Gothmog, the lieutenant of Minas Morgul, who arrives at the Pelennor field surrounded by his own makeshift battalion. The siblings will crash upon his battered army, yet Eowyn's true target will be the Nazgul who glides above them. She will be the only one to defy the Lord of the Ringwraiths.
Alter, geil.
The posing of these four characters implies that their fates on this battlefield are overlapping and intertwining. Behind Eowyn wave the cyan banners of the Swan Knights. These seafaring people are led by Prince Imrahil the Fair. His aid will prove invaluable, time and again in the defense of the besieged city. Battling at the forefront of the chaos are
Sind das die, auf deren Schiffen die Geister in den Film mitkommen?
four members of the Fellowship. The hobbit Meriadoc Brandybuck bravely wields his barrow blade against an onslaught of orcs. Frequently underestimated, Merry will prove his worth, fighting in tandem with Eowyn against the Witch King. To his right, the stalwart Gimli, son of Glowin, readies his axe against the swarm. His vengeful spirit burns with the memory of the dwarves lost in the mines of Moria, a tragedy he won't soon forget. By his side is Legolas, the master archer, who draws the long
dunkle
bow
Haare,
of
der
the
ist doch eigentlich blond.
His arrows never stray from their mark, especially those flying in defense of an unlikely friend. Finally, at the very front and center of the composition, there stands Aragorn, the destined king of Gondor. In his hand burns Andúril, the flame of the west, the light of which anchors the entire painting and offers a valorous symbol of hope to those fighting alongside him. Aragorn pushes back against a wave of horrific and merciless orcs, their gritty teeth angular and imposing like the blades they brandish. Opposing the horde are the knights of Dol Amroth, dressed in regal armor and endowed with sharpened spears. They arrive from the southern reaches of Gondor to defend its stronghold. On their own, these two cards portray, very simply, the two sides involved in the War of the Ring. This diptych can serve as a broad summation of the entire conflict. In context, the two cards above them gently balance the action by inverting the warring sides. And zooming out further, these two horizontal rows are a compositional mirror of one another. A minor conflict between two masses of armies on the left offsets the spotlight on the group of four major characters to its right. The grandiosity and scale of this painting reflects the fateful event that was the Battle of the Pelennor Fields.
Ey, was sich da jemand bei gedacht hat, ne? Dieses Gemälde, dieses Kunstwerk dann auf 18 Karten aufzuteilen. Boah, es ist schon ein Gänsehautmoment irgendwie. Wer kein Herr der Ringe-Fan ist, für den vielleicht nicht, aber das ist schon richtig gut durchdacht.
The climax of this epic tale stays suspended in time. Here, in the enclosed plains between two fortresses, where total darkness collided with the defenders of the
Geil mit Minas Tirith und Barad-dûr.
For an occasion like this, we have gathered our own fellowship to give us their thoughts on the union of Magic the Gathering and the Lord of the Rings.
Have I opened a magic pack before? Is that an actual question you're asking me right now?
This is my first ever booster pack.
The Lord of the Rings and the greater Tolkien verse holds a very special place in my heart.
I was at a bookstore with my father. He ended up getting me a copy of the trilogy.
You do have a Lord of the Rings tattoo. Yeah, this is Elvish. It says, tell them stories.
Nothing like the smell of magic cards.
Oh, there we go. Got a Bombadil. Hey, doll, merry doll, ring-a-dong-dillo.
Oh, love that artwork.
Gimli on Magic the
Geil, ey. Müssen wir das langsam mal angucken? War der Bombadil-Song? Stand der drauf?
Magic cards.
Oh.
Hey, doll, merry doll, ring-a-dong, dillo, ring-a-dong, hop along, Fallal the Willow, Tom Bomb, Jolly Tom, Tom Bombadillo. Das ist die Flavortext, die ich meine, ey. Die müssen
There we go. Got a Bombadil. Hey, doll, merry doll, ring-a-dong-dillo.
Oh, love that artwork.
Gimli on a Magic the Gathering card.
No living man am I. She's not a man, she's a woman. I've seen this a million times in my head reading the book.
Yeah, I'm just blown away by the artwork.
The flavor text at the bottom feels like it was ripped directly from the book.
It is so perfect to see the two united.
Characters that I love and that I grew up with.
I get to play Lord of the Rings on my Magic cards.
It feels like a match made in nerd heaven.
We also traveled to Middle-earth to talk to one very special fan.
Der war ich schon. Ah, Frodo. Hallo, Elijah.
All right, let's talk about this set. Let's have a look.
Alter, wie kann man so sympathisch sein wie Elijah
Hobbit with a ring, man. Gimli, Aragorn, Arwen, Shelob, Rosie Cotton, Galadriel. Seeing all these characters, they really mean something to me. Oh, it's Pippin and Merry. Wait, this is awesome. Two very important friends. Anytime you get to see these characters realized in a new and fresh way is always really exciting. Ah, the One Ring. What is it that allows Frodo to withstand the power of the ring? He is just a hobbit that says, I'll take the ring. They were just pure of heart, which I think makes Frodo more capable and less susceptible. Yeah.
Actually, hang on, we need the card back.
Huh? Well, I gave it back. Oh. Oh, here it is, in my pocket. Isn't that odd now? Okay.
Okay, das war lustig.
Indestructible. Well, is it?
Der Typ ist so sympathisch, Mann.
As a wise wizard once said, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. This summer, join the Fellowship.
Geil.
In-store pre-release June 16th to 22nd. Play on Arena June 20th. Available everywhere June 23rd.
2 Wochen noch.
And if you wish to attend a party of
15 Tage.
special magnificence,
15
there will be
Tage.
in-person events held at local game stores on July 7th to 9th.
Geil. Puh, vorbei. Es gibt noch einen einstündigen Livestream danach mit Blake Rasmussen und ein paar anderen Leuten. Ich glaube, den schaue ich mir auch noch an. Aber für jetzt soll es erstmal reichen. Eindrücke zu der Herr der Ringe, Geschichten aus Mittelerde. Kurzer Exkurs noch oder kurze Info. Die Collector Displays sind schon unendlich teuer geworden, weil die wohl größtenteils schon ordentlich verkauft wurden. Vor allem die englischen, die deutschen nicht so, weil die Leute Bock haben auf den einen Ring. Vielen Dank fürs Mitschauen. Ich bin ultra gehypt und freut euch auf noch mehr Lord of the Rings Content in den nächsten 3 bis 4 Wochen. Ich glaube, der gesamte Juni ist Lord of the Rings bei MTG mit Patrick.